I have completed 13 meditations on a contemporary way of life. Why should a cutting-edge new monastic movement name itself after two figures from the past, Aidan and Hilda? The Bible likens the Christian life to an athletics race where a great cloud of former runners urge them on. These are not only role models, they are living witnesses. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. The Bible also records God's constant command to remember past God-guided personalities in order to learn lessons from them. Aidan's name means flame. We work to fire up the world and pass on the flame like Olympic torchbearers. Hilda's name means struggle. In the eternal struggle between good and evil, we persevere, overcome, and seek to do all things well. Together, Aidan and Hilda are symbols of people of different language, race, and gender who become soul friends for the common good, who inspire ordinary people to do extraordinary things for God in ways that are indigenous to their land and rooted in a living tradition. Aiden came from 6th century Ireland, a pagan land that had been transformed into a land of saints and scholars, with its spiritual foster mothers and its 7 days a week churches that were like villages of God. He was sent from the Irish monastery on Iona to spearhead a mission to the pagan Anglo-Saxon colonists of Britain, who became the English. Their largest kingdom had had a short-lived mission, led by priests sent from Rome with a centralising approach. But that mission had aborted, and the converts had returned to their pagan gods. Aidan and his team came with a strikingly different approach. The centralisers dressed as dignitaries and spent donors' money on church buildings. Aidan's lot dressed in simple clothes and gave every penny to the poor. The centralisers commanded people to come to the royal centres and listen to one man preach and then be baptised. Aidan went with others who walked unescorted among the people far from the royal centres. As they walked, they memorised and meditated on the Gospels. Aidan taught his brothers to greet and befriend each person they met, to listen to their stories and beliefs, and only then to ask if their new friend would like to hear their own stories and beliefs. The result was that the people began to trust and love these brothers, to invite them into their own settlements to pray with, heal, touch and baptise them in a way that enabled them to remain true to themselves. The faith spread like a grassroots fire. The centralisers thought the way to spread the gospel was to make the church the most prestigious institution in the world. Aidan thought that, in addition to sharing the message, they should model the kingdom of God on earth, establish little colonies of heaven that were like villages of God for ordinary people, combining daily prayer and work, hospitality and learning in one simple community for those of all backgrounds. The Christianity introduced by the centralisers was an indoors religion. Once they were baptised, people had to come out of the cold into an ornamented building called a church. The Irish Christians left their indoor comforts in order to go out into the cold or the heat of the outdoors. They loved the stories of 4th century desert fathers and mothers of Egypt, who left the second-hand faith of comfortable cities to live alone with God in deserted places, there to engage in spiritual warfare. Aidan taught his flock to fast and pray for 40 days in any piece of land that was to have buildings erected for a faith community, to cleanse it of bad influences. The elements for the Irish Christians were expressions of God among which they should make their home. Aidan's approach was to find out what people hungered for and give them milk. Milk comes from within the mother into the other person. Aidan was offering something gentle and organic that sustained both weak and strong people. Hilda, on the male side, came from brutal Saxon colonists. On the female side, she probably came from indigenous Celtic Britons. Her mother and her uncle, a king, were both pagans. God spoke to them through dreams. Hilda became a Christian through a Roman mission. Then she met Aidan, and this changed her life. A fatherless child, probably a war widow and an exile, at the age of 33 she looked forward to join family and friends in the security of a French monastery. But Aidan called her to pioneer monastic villages of men and women among the English, led by a woman. From her last such monastery at Whitby, many of Hilda's apprentices went on to pioneer God-guided work among the people. Hilda became sought after as a spiritual mother, far beyond the boundaries of her own kingdom. She affirmed the spiritual gift of Cadman, the shy, illiterate cowherd, who became the first English poet and spread gospel songs among people who never went to a church. Disappointed when Roman regulations were enforced and the Irish departed, she nevertheless continued undaunted, providing a spiritual powerhouse for people of all traditions and becoming an icon of wisdom. Racked throughout her last 6 years by illness, she never ceased to daily give thanks to God. Hilda, the struggler, inspires us to struggle to overcome evil with good, to welcome and work with people of different traditions, to unlock the song in every human heart. We want this way of life to become indigenous to every land, where its followers will draw inspiration from the flame-bearers and strugglers of their own land. Universally, Christianity seems like a great tree that has become top-heavy. A tree becomes hollow if it becomes disconnected from its roots. We seek to reconnect Christianity to its roots in the Spirit and the Scriptures, in the streets and the seasons, in the silence and the soul friends, in the soil and in the saints. In the silence, think of the organic, grassroots, non-domineering type of Christianity which Aidan models so well. Then think of the holistic learning, the spiritual nurturing, the partnership building, and the people's empowering of which Hilda is a model. What is the Spirit saying to you now about these things?